All right. How's everyone doing? Good. That's good to hear. Uh, just a little housekeeping. Just turn off the cell phones while the speaker's talking. Keep the mask on. Also, if you did have any questions for Georgie, you can find her at the Happiness Lounge uh, to talk after the talk. Also, there's an after party, and don't forget your parking vouchers as well. So let me introduce Georgie. Her talk is increasing productivity and avoiding burnout. Everyone give a warm welcome to Georgie-Ann Getton.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. And I'm super excited to be giving this talk today here at WordCamp 2022. Yay! Final talk of the day. Woo! Awesome. So before we dive in, I just want to see by a raise of hands, who has been feeling burnt out recently? Just raise your hand. All right. All right, I see a lot of hands and double hands. And who also wants to increase their productivity? Like you feel like you're just not getting enough done. Awesome. So this talk, this workshop that I'm going to be doing will help you with both of those things. And there's a little bonus at the end that lets you know how to recognize being burnt out, because that's a thing that people don't even know when it's coming. So let's dive in. So today we're going to go over how to manage your time. It disappeared. Okay. Manage your time better, complete more tasks, as well as increase your daily productivity and avoid burnout. So who am I? My name is Georgie-Ann Getton, and I am an author, a speaker, a mom of two, execution expert, as well as the CEO and founder of GSD Solutions, where we help individuals and businesses increase their productivity and get more done, right? And you can follow me on all social media. That's my handle, GSD with Georgie. So what we're going to talk about and dive into today is one part of my 5-part framework, which is purpose. So figuring out your why do you want to do something, what's at the foundation. Plan, having a clear plan and strategy to execute. Produce, which is actually executing up on it, getting stuff done. Profit, because whether it's financial profit or emotional or just environmental profit, you have to be figuring out a way of how this thing benefits you and your life. And then last but not least, play, because we all have to have a little bit of fun at the end of the day in order to reignite us to keep going through this 5-part process. So productivity is going to be in the section called produce. So how do we actually get this to happen? So now we're just going to dive in. So you raised your hand earlier because a lot of us have been feeling burnt out. And who can blame us? Between the pandemic, Twitter going crazy, and even the news that we got yesterday, it is tiring to be a human, an employee, an entrepreneur, a mom, a dad, just a person every day in this world. We are so sped up. 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, the way our days looked was completely different than how it looks now. We're all trying to multitask, trying to do it all, and trying to figure everything out when there's a way to do it that it benefits us internally and externally. So we're going to dive into that. We want to make sure that you're happy, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident when you're executing and being more productive. So the first strategy is, and get your notebooks out, because I love an audience that takes some notes. So get your notes out or just try to remember it, is to do one thing at a time. And I know you're probably all like, but Georgie, there's so much things to do. I know. Don't worry. We think that, and we are told, multitasking. Multitasking is what we all have to do. Well, I'm here to tell you that multitasking is a lie. Multitasking is a term that was created for computers, for devices. Are we a device? If you're a device, raise your hand. Let me know. Is there? Okay, we have one robot in the room. Shout outs to you. We have one robot, and Sophie and those AI technologies, they're great at multitasking. Leave the multitasking to the technology. Us as humans, us as individuals, we have to pay attention to do one thing at a time. But how do we get one thing at a time done when there's such a long task list of things to do? I'm going to tell you that. Because multitasking, what you're doing is that you think you're working on many things at once, but you're not. What you're really doing is that you're splitting your resources, whether it be time, money, focus, or energy. So you have each of those individual things and you're splitting it all over the place, right? That's like saying, I'm going to try to share one bottle of water with everyone here in this room. We're all still going to be thirsty after we get our 1 or 2 drops. That's not efficient. That's not effective. But if I said, hey, we're going to get 20 bottles of water and then try to split it, that's more effective. So how do we actually get that done? So instead of multitasking, we do one thing at a time. And when we look at our task, right? So you might have your task list. And for this example, we're going to do it really simple. When you have 3 tasks and you're trying to multitask, what that looks like is that you have 100% of whether it's time, money, energy, or resources, and you're splitting it. So maybe one task gets 20%, another task gets 40, another task may get 30 or 40, versus when you focus on one thing, that entire thing gets your 100%. That allows you to take that thing off your task list a lot faster. And let's break it down even deeper. So when you focus on having a main task, right, you have your task list, but inside of each task, there are things called subtasks and microtasks. For example, let's say I want to add a new product to my store, right? I have my WordPress site, I want to add a new product to my store. So that may look like it's just one task, but inside of that, the subtask and the microtask is you have to source the product if you already haven't done so. You need to create the product SKU. You have to price the product. Depending on what it is, you might have to do product photography. So even though it's the one task of adding a new product to the site, there are so many subtasks under that. And not only are there subtasks underneath that, there are microtasks underneath the subtask. So for example, when I'm looking at source a product, I also have to call the supplier, order the inventory, count the inventory, make sure that what I thought I had on hand is truly what I have on hand, or what we've experienced in the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic. What is the supply chain like? Many businesses and brands have had to change the components of their products because we have a supply chain issue. They're not able to source those things. So within that, what your brain is doing, so your brain knows that you have to do all these subtasks and microtasks inside of it, right? You're thinking of this, you're thinking of that, and you're just like, oh, I have to write that down before I forget. Instead of writing it down, you end up forgetting. So because you're trying to multitask and focus on all these different things. But when you stay on that one task from start to finish, your brain actually applies those things that you're trying to remember because you're just in it. You don't have to worry about remembering them later because you're doing it right now. So that's the first step. Focus on and do one thing at a time and break down your task from the main task, subtask, microtask. And that will allow you to complete a task from start to finish in full and then move on to your next task. I love to read, so I'm going to be sharing a couple books throughout this presentation. The One Thing by Gary Keller is an amazing book that helped me understand the statistics, the mindset, and also just get additional research on why it's beneficial to focus on one thing at a time. Because I like to see numbers, I like to see facts, I want to see a little bit of data, like, okay, you're saying this, but is it just you, or is this something that really works and people have studied it? And the answer is yes. So if you want more facts beyond just Georgie up here telling you, go ahead and check out Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. And what you win by focusing on one thing at a time is that you get to complete your task in full and at a higher quality, which is one of the ways you're increasing your productivity while avoiding that burnout. Now, step 2, strategy number 2, make a plan. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I've been hearing this saying since I was like 6 years old. I kid you not. I grew up in like an immigrant household and very strict. They're like, oh, you don't have a plan? All right, you do you then. When everything comes to a mess, do not call me. So you have to have a plan. And you're probably all thinking, and I know I experienced this as well, we all had a plan. And then there's a pandemic, and then there's climate change, and then the world is changing so fast. I get it, absolutely. But it's better to pivot from a plan versus not having a plan to start with, and then you have to scramble in that moment. You're then overusing all your resources, such as your time, energy, and money. So a quick pop quiz for you guys. If you're a blogger, what blog post will you be writing in the next month, 2 weeks, 1 week? So who here is a blogger? Just raise your hands. Let me see. Anybody has a blog? All right, a few people. Who has content already ready for the next 2 weeks? All right. Okay, one. All right, so about 10% of the folks that originally raised their hands from having blogs, about 10% have content ready for the next week to 2 weeks. And yes, your content will change because we've seen the world change a lot, but having that foundation, or maybe you can say, okay, this is not the best time to post that article I was going to write. Now let me post it, in 6 week time at a different time, but at least you have it prepared. You have a direction that you want to go in. How many folks have stores, whether it's a product or service store? Raise your hand. All right, not that many. I think one person can. Okay. Do you know what goals you want to hit financially for Q3? And even if you don't have a store, if you're working a job, if you are an entrepreneur, do you know what financial goals you want to hit Q3, which is starting next week? So just a little hint for y'all. That's next week. That's not, no, Q3 is coming right up. It is here. So you have to have this plan. And the final thing is, do you know what holiday promotions, right? Q4 is coming up. Winter is coming, as, they famously say. All right, a few last. Okay, you guys got that one. And we need to know, what's coming up. What are you planning to do? Because if you have a plan, then again, you can pivot. You have a starting point. You could figure out what's in the supply chain or what is not, what opportunities are out there. And also, the recession is coming. That's another thing to keep in mind. What groceries are you buying? Are you buying canned goods? Are you making sure that you're stocking up, right? What are you doing? So your plans can change, which they will, absolutely. But if you have a foundation, right? If you have a plan, it gives you peace of mind so that when things change, you are allowed to pivot. You're not scrambling, going all over the place, losing your mind, having anxiety and panic attacks. I've been there, done that, not fun. And so you have that plan and you can pivot and update that plan when life changes course as it does every single day. So some planning resources, make sure you're using your online calendar, your physical calendar, a planner or journal. The best bet is to plan as far as you can and then adjust it as time comes. Does anyone here use things like vision boards? All right, I see a few hands. Okay, the hands in the back. I see y'all, tech team. Having these plans. How about a calendar? Who has a physical calendar at home? All right, okay, a few hands. Who uses the calendar on the phone? All right, that should be everyone. Literally, if it's not in this device here, I will forget every time. Double schedule, over schedule, under schedule, all the things. So definitely use these resources that are literally right at our fingertips to create that plan. And then what you win from planning is that you're able to better manage your time and your effort. So that way you're not double booking, under booking, and you're just really clear on what you're doing, how you're doing it. Oh, okay. Strategy number 3, work smarter. So, as I mentioned before, right in the talk, your resources are limited. There is only one you, even if you have a, twin, if you have a team, there is still just one you. So how can you execute on your plan that we just created, right? Have your plan, execute it efficiently. You have to start automating using technology. There are so many things as simple as a Gmail, right? If most of us probably have a Gmail or some type of email, you can schedule an email to send in the future. So when you wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, do not hit send on the email at 2 a.m. Okay? Because then they're going to expect you to always hit send and reply at 2 a.m. Schedule that email to send at 8 a.m., 1 p.m., because, that's when you work best, but now you don't want to be sending out 40 emails at 2 a.m. It's not a good idea, trust me. You want to have it scheduled. You want to use the technology to automate. Before, there were tools like Boomerang and Streak, and even apps like Zapier. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about a few things that I've automated and automated using technology and suggestions for you all. So, for example, social media posts, right? Who wants to be on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Reddit all day long? That's like 7 platforms. Okay, one person. Shout outs to you. Shout out. I know I get exhausted, and then what happens is that you're in this social media loop. You close Instagram, and somehow you're back on Instagram, and you have no idea how you got there, right? I'm like, how did I left here? How did I end up back here? So having social media scheduling tools is a lifesaver. If that's a part of your work that you need to do, using these tools to your advantage, right? There's Hootsuite, Later.com, what is it? Planoly. There's so many at different price points, starting at completely free to even hundreds of dollars a month. If you're on the hundreds of dollars a month side of needing that feature, that means you should have got it a year ago, right? That's just what, heads up to y'all. Then email communications. There are so many different tools that allow you to automate the sending of emails. If somebody fills out a form, they automatically get a reply. And tools that like Streak, Boomerang, Gmail has included a lot of these services as well. And there's a platform called Zapier. So who has heard of and or used Zapier? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of hands. That platform is amazing. And there's a few other ones that are coming out similar to it. But what it does is if two things that you're using, two tools, two platforms, two plugins, don't speak to each other, Zapier allows you to get access to the API. It unlocks it and allows them to talk to each other without you having to do all, the coding and figuring it all out. It just, at a click of a few buttons, these two platforms that literally do not speak the same language in any way, shape, or form are now communicating with each other and taking that task off your list. Because, for example, a couple years ago, one of my businesses was a clothing line. So somebody would order from the website, and this was before draft shipping, automation, a lot of it. We've come a long way. They would order from the website. Then I would go to my mom's basement, don't go away, computer. Look up and see what, go through all the inventory. Yes, do we have a large or do we have a small? Find that item, then go to another website, print out the shipping label, then come back, package it, then mail it off. Now there's tools that I don't even have to have inventory. There's drop shipping that automates it. You could automatically print a shipping label as soon as somebody purchases on the site. So using these tools to your advantage. There are so many little things. If you have an iPhone, have you heard of the Shortcuts app on the iPhone? All right, so raise your hand if you have an iPhone. All right, this is looking like the majority of the audience. So the Shortcuts is already, look it up, pull out your phone, believe me. Shortcuts allows you to create automations on your phone. So for example, your mom calls and you're on Do Not Disturb. If you put up an automation, it's like an if this, then that, it will say if your mom calls while you're on Do Not Disturb, it'll alarm like a chicken bell. Literally, it will do this. And so whatever automation you may need to make your life a little bit easier or more convenient on your phone using the Shortcuts apps, and there's a bunch of different things that you can connect to it so that way you're automating some of those little things that might happen daily. So check out the Shortcuts app. And the last thing that I'll talk about using automation for is booking meetings. I despise going back and forth trying to book a time. Are you available Tuesday? No, what about Wednesday? How about 4? How about 5? Oh, I have a pet visit at that time. Oh, my kid's recital. I despise it. You could literally spend hours, days trying to convene a time for you and a colleague or a friend to meet. So guess what? Everybody in my life gets a Calendly. Oh, you want to go hang out and go to the movies? Here, use my Calendly link to book the movies. I'm so serious. Because it is so difficult. When are you available? Check my Calendly. Yep, and then send me a calendar invite. My friends and family, they hated it at first, but now they realize, oh, calendar invite, she shows up. Calendar invite, I will show up. Because I need to know where we're going, what we're doing, and there's so many parts of my life. Like I showed you, I'm a mom, I'm an author, I'm a businesswoman. There's so many things that could be on my plate at any given moment. I need to plan in advance. So having, Calendly is a good one, Acuity scheduling, Square, so if you use Square or Squarespace, and there's a bunch of different tools, but allowing your calendar to kind of book up itself. Say, hey, here's my Calendly link, schedule the time you need, and move on from there. Automate that whole process. And it links up all 27 of my calendars. So, with that, do not wait, automate. And I told you guys just now a bunch of different ways, and there are so many more ways and things that you can automate. And if you're not sure, if you're using a tool or a plugin or a website, hit that support, chat or email, however. Hey, are there any automations that you can share with me, right? Ask the question, because there may be something that you're doing manually that's taking up even half an hour of your time, that once you hit that support box or email the support number, they're like, hey, actually, yeah, we have a tool, we have a plugin, an integration that allows you to automate half of that. And if it's something that you're doing repetitively, half an hour, 5 times goes a long way to get back that time into your schedule. So with automation, working smarter, you get more efficient, not just productive. Because you can be productive and do a lot of things, but are you efficient with your time, right? This is what automation helps you do. Strategy number 4, pass the ball, right? What that means is do not be a ball hog. You have players and team members in your life, and it takes a village. And this does not only apply to raising a family or raising children. Outsourcing, right? So we just talked about automation with working smarter. Outsourcing allows you to pass the ball and ensures tasks are completed. So no matter if you have a team or not, there are people in your life that you can pass the ball, pass task over to that can complete it for you. And I'll talk a little bit about my experiences of when I've passed the ball. So, for example, laundry, right? Who here loves doing laundry? Raise your hand. Woo! Shout outs to you in the back. Maybe you should start a laundry service because I despise laundry. And I love the fact that I have a washer and dryer in my apartment. But it takes hours to do the laundry there because it's like, oh, one wash, one dry, one wash, one dry. And then I never fold the clothes until maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. So I know everyone here may or may not have a laundry chair or the laundry section of the bed. So outsourcing things like laundry allows you to have a person who loves doing laundry or is skilled at doing it come to your house, pick it up, they handle the laundry. That could be a hour and a half to 5 hour process depending on what setup you have at home. And now it takes completely off your plate. You just have to have it ready. They drop it back off, and however long it takes that person, then you'll be charged that price. So you're giving up time. It's an exchange of time for money for time. But if you have a really busy schedule, maybe that laundry service is $50, $100 a week, biweekly, compared to how long it would take you and the value of your time and your hourly rate to do that same task. Another thing is grocery shopping. Instacart saved my life. So thank you to Instacart because and this Instacart is actually beneficial for me in 2 different ways. A couple years ago, I was an Instacart shopper when I was doing various freelance work and gig work. And now I'm an Instacart user because it shows you every time, like, you've saved 147 hours of grocery shopping. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Because grocery shopping, especially in the pandemic, early phases, I don't know if y'all did it, but me and my family, we went to the store looking like we were ready for combat. I'm talking about headscarf, goggles, gloves, mask, you name it. And then you come home and they're like, oh, wash your food. So we then spent like an hour washing groceries. It was a whole process. Instacart, at least it gets to my door, and then I could do my whole washing process if I want to proceed with that. So outsourcing to another person. Now let's talk about administrative tasks, things that you have to do on the computer, right? This is the one you guys all want to hear about. And with administrative tasks, you can outsource to a virtual assistant, a contractor, another person on your team. So if you have a team, and when you're thinking about outsourcing, what you want to do first, right? The first thing, especially when it comes to administrative tasks, is figure out and then document how that task is to be done. That will save you so much time and training when you're trying to outsource something to somebody else, because we know, right? I want to do this task because I do it better. I know how to do it. You don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to do it. But if you have a step-by-step process, that could look like a video, a Google Doc, just a task list, that when you have this virtual assistant that could fluctuate anywhere from $5 or $4 an hour to maybe $20, $30 an hour, depending on the location, the task, etc., you can say, hey, this is how I do it, and this is how I accomplish that task. You can use this as your roadmap. These are my expectations, these are my standards, but feel free to spice it up. If you figure out a way to cut out half these tasks but still get to the end goal, great. But at least you have the confidence to pass the ball over to the other person, because what's stopping you from passing the ball is the quality, right? You're not sure what the quality is going to be. You're afraid that they're going to mess it up. Are they going to do it in the same amount of time as you, or can they even do it as well as you? And trust and believe there are people that can do it just as well or even better and more efficiently. So pass that ball. There are people that are trying to help. And you could apply this to anything in your life: childcare, elderly care, picking up mail, you name it. There are so many ways to outsource and allow the people around you to help out with tasks at anywhere from free to paid, but just really tapping into that, making a list of these are the things that I would like to outsource and have someone else accomplish. Make a budget for it if you need to, and then start looking for service providers to help you outsource so you can pass the ball. And what you get from this book is a resource. So Drop the Ball by Tiffany Dufu. was a great book to read where she talks about building her business and, her partnership with her husband, and they have small children and figuring that out. How can you be a corporate leader while also not feeling stuck? Because, based on different backgrounds, and society will say, if you're a mom and you have a nanny, you're lazy, or if, you're a CEO and you have 20 assistants, people put these labels on things when it's just not true. In order for you to be efficient and optimize and being your best self without burning out, you have to outsource. You have to share the work, drop the ball, or better yet, pass the ball. So definitely check out this book. And what you win by doing so is you avoid burnout by passing tasks over to others. And strategy number 5 is share your work, right? There's so much work that could be done or so much work that you've already done, and people won't know about it, right? Events like this where you're in a room full of other people, talk about what you're doing, share what you're working on, so that way others can say, hey, wow, I've been looking for a developer in this sense. I've been looking for a designer. I've been looking for a person that loves to do laundry. I'm so happy that I met you. Let's work together, right? There's so many of us. The world needs to know what you're working on, what you're doing, and how they can support you, because your work matters. And oftentimes we wait until it's perfect or it's all polished and it looks good, but that's not the way to go. People love to see the journey. Imagine if they said, oh, we're not going to release the iPhone until iPhone 15. How many iPhones have we had since then? Even the development of the iPod, these things have changed and they will continue to change over time. So ways to share your work, right? First, celebrate with others. You just got that new job. You just got that new client. You just got rid of a client that you hated, right? That's also a win. Share that. Celebrate it with others. Have a little party. Then if you're trying to share your journey, start a blog. Super simple to do, wordpress.org. Start a blog and start creating this content, sharing your journey on social media, speak at events. Hey, y'all. And share the work that you're doing, because your work is valuable and you never know how beneficial it is to the person that's right next to you or the person that's halfway around the globe. So sharing your work is going to be super impactful, so that way folks can help you, and you never know if you're the perfect person and perfect fit for someone's need or service that they've been looking for days or maybe even decades. So what you get from sharing is your work is you get to maintain the momentum and keep going, right? You got a new supporter, you got a new follower. Now you feel excited and you want to continue doing that work. So again, another book. You're going to have like too many books when we're finished, but it's okay. Books are great. Is Share Your Work by Cleon. And in this book, it's really cute and small, and it just says 10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered. So I'm going to let y'all take a minute to grab some snaps of that. Yep, it's a really good book. And all of these books that I'm talking about and listed, they're all listed on my website as well. So GSD with Georgie. So to recap, do one thing at a time. Multitasking will drive you mad. Create your task list, add your subtasks, add your microtasks in there, and complete one thing at a time. Then always make a plan. You may have to pivot from that plan, but having your foundation will allow you to thrive and be more successful in your work. Then work smarter. Allow automation, using the technology that is literally in the palm of our hands to help you to outsource, to automate, because outsource next, to automate different tasks. Then pass the ball. Outsource the people around you and allow folks to help you in the work that you're trying to do. Share your work. Talk about it, write about it, sing about it, podcast about it, you name it. But you have to share your work with others. But before I go, how do you recognize burnout, right? So I talked to you about how to increase your productivity and try to avoid that burnout, but you're already there. You're tired, you're over it, you just want to go home. I get it. So how do you recognize burnout? So I'm going to talk to you about the 3 phases of recognizing burnout. And the first one is you'll start to feel in your body, right? Your back starts to ache up, your hands are cramping, you don't want to type that paper anymore. You're physically exhausted. So your body is going to be the first signal that something is going on, right? You start feeling like a pulsation, a headache, and you're just not sure the source of it, but you're like, I'm going to power through. I'm going to take some Tylenol. I'm going to power through, and we're going to keep going. Your gut's feeling not too good. It start bubbling. You're like, oh, maybe it's just gas. But that's the first sign. Your body will tell you. Then when you're ignoring your body, as most of us do, your mind will attack you. You'll start forgetting things. You'll start misplacing things. You'll just be so confused and frazzled. You'll snap at people. You're super irritated. You're like, why are you bothering me? Don't talk to me. I need to finish this thing, right? While your back's still hurting. So now your body and your mind is just like, we are done here. But feel free to keep going, but we're done here. And then the next phase of burnout is your heart, right? Like you'll just, I don't want to do this anymore. I hate this, right? Things that you used to love, right? You love blogging, you love talking, you love writing, and now you start despising it. You don't want to hang around your family anymore. You don't want to hang around your kids. So I'm talking about all the things that you're passionate about. You used to go to the gym every day. Now you get sick at the side of a gym. Your heart will start coming for you. So your body, your mind, then your heart. And at that point, you're going to explode. You're going to be at full burnout, and that's really hard to come back from. Is it possible? Absolutely. And most of us have gotten to that point and have done it. But I do these talks and help people with this because I know the tragic, phase that happens when you are fully burnt out. I've been there. Literally about 2 months from now, so around September last year, I ended up being in the hospital because of burnout. Right? I was working on a really big project, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going, and I felt it in my body. I didn't aches everywhere. I'm just like headaches after headaches, and I do not get headaches. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take a day off, and I'm gonna get back to it. Then irritation, nonstop. So I knew the signs, but I'm just like, I'm the burnout expert. I'm gonna manage this. No. I cannot skip. Go past, go and collect 200. It does not work that way. And then I just started really not wanting to do anything. And then my body said, hey, Georgie, so we've clocked out. Good luck to you. And my heart started racing. Literally, I'm sitting still. My heart is racing, going at like 180. And I ended up going to the ER, and they're like, hey, you just need some saline and a nap. And I'm like, what? So they're like, you're dehydrated. I'm like, but I'm drinking water. But they're like, you're working it out so fast that no matter how much you put in, you're doubling the output. So if you put in 100 and you're taking out 200, you're at negative 100. Simple math. And so I say that to warn people, even if you know these strategies, listen to them. Your body will tell you first, your mind will go next, and your heart will start. So as soon as you see those signals, reach out for help, right? Use the outsourcing tools. Go back to the toolkit, right? Outsource stuff, automate things, or just completely take a break, right? The world is going crazy every single day. But the good thing about this planet, this world that we live in, is that as humans, we're resilient. And we have the capacity to completely stop something and in a month or two get back up, start figuring it out, and be even further than we wanted to be in the original time. So take that time, because when you're burnt out, or if it goes, excessively, we've heard the stories of, we've what is it called? They say like disease is dis-ease. It's literally your body saying that you pushed us too hard and we quit. We don't like you anymore. We quit. And don't let your body do that, right? Work in tangent with your body and your mind. Say, listen, we're going to go on this ride together. I'm going to take care of you. You take care of me. And you can make it all work out. So you can increase your productivity and avoid burnout, but you have to be able to recognize the signs of burnout, which I just went over, as well as start doing things in your everyday to allow you to increase that productivity in a smart, efficient, and optimized way, so that way you do not get to the point of burnout. And the last thing I'll leave you with is a quote from my book, The Art of Getting Shit Done, which is, don't wait for life to force you to make that change. Make that change consciously on your own time, right? Life will come and get you. Trust me, it will. So don't wait for it to do that. Make that change on your own and have full autonomy in the changes that you want to make for yourself. And I'm Georgie-Ann Getton, and this has been Increasing Your Productivity and Avoiding Burnout. And you can feel free to contact me on these platforms, and I'm happy to do a Q&A. So do we have any questions from anyone in the audience? Happy to share my experiences or in the work that I've done. All right, go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So with that, I would say so that thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and just like your experiences. I also work from home and I've experienced that when my physical space is cluttered or messy, I can't think straight. So two of the strategies that I shared earlier that could help you with that is if there's other people in the household, right? Put them to work, whether that be your wife, if you have children, if you have neighbors or family members that are willing to come and say, hey, I need your help to put all these papers that are bills in one pile, put all these papers that are notes in one pile, as well as, it sounds like you're using your schedule, even though you're not putting it in the same way every single day, you're allotting a specific time for each task. Does that sound right? You gotta tell the truth. Sometimes you have to tell folks the truth, and hopefully this gives you the power to go home and say, "Hey, we gotta do something about it." Or I don't know your financial status, but there, for example, TaskRabbit. A couple weeks ago, and I use it very often. I was about to travel, and my same thing. My office was looking crazy, and I'm just like, I literally need paper shredded and things just organized, and it wasn't a lot, and I need like my kids' room organized. Pulled up TaskRabbit, and a young lady was able to come. 4 hours. It cost about 120, and everything was done. I'm like, whoa. I needed this like yesterday. So depending on if you're able to do something like that, there are people out there that can, again, you're outsourcing this task and come in, and even if it's an hour or a couple of hours, it doesn't need to take long. They give you back that peace of mind, so that way you can proceed with your day, and maybe convincing your wife, like, hey, we're both gonna do this, so get a 2 for 1. So both offices are in decent condition, and the bills that you mentioned, maybe even going on the websites if you're open to this, and having them do the digital billing, right? And putting it in the calendar, like, okay, I know Con Ed is due the first of every month. They'll email, and that helps with the, decrease the paper load. And I see another question over here. Um, quick sheet, quick cheat sheet for time management. Are you referring to just like how to better manage the hours in your day?
Yeah, like if you have a lot of, responsibilities, whether it be personal or business, and you were just trying to condense them and, just to accomplish, let's say maybe like 3 or 4 goals for the day. Like, how would you try to structure that?
Yeah. So what I do, and I'll just talk to my personal experience, and hopefully this is helpful, is at the beginning of every day, or just anytime I have a rolling task list that's on my phone, and anytime I think of anything, buy laundry detergent, buy whatever, I put it on that list, and when I go into sit at my computer every day, I look at that list and determine, is this a work thing? Is this a personal thing? And start tackling the small things first, right? Like the things that are like 2 seconds. Oh, I need to order more food or water. Okay, get the Instacart and they'll bring it. I don't have to think about it. It'll come at a certain time of the day. I'm home. I work from home. That's all set. I don't have to think about that. The things that are more strenuous now, I need to create a new framework for the product that we're about to sell. All right, who needs to be involved in that? Is it this person from my team? Do we need to hire a contractor? So I try to batch things and then figure out who needs to do what, and then looking at my schedule and taking out time for me to think through the thing. So also take time to think. And I think we don't do that enough, where it's like, oh, this task is going to take 30 minutes. So you put in your calendar 30 minutes. If a task takes 30 minutes, you need to put in your calendar at least an hour, hour and a half, because you have to think about it, do it, then check it over so that way when it's gone, it's, you're full and you're clear that it's gone, and it's not, oh, I did it in 30 minutes, it's coming back, oh, there's this error, that error involved in the task. And I think that's where a lot of our time gets eaten up, where we just only give the thing the time that we think it needs versus giving a buffer time. And if you have 45 minutes left over after you finish it, that's better for you to then get a little debrief. It's already in your schedule. You don't have to rush to another thing. So, buffering it like that is also really helpful. And I think we have time for one more question, maybe. Yeah. About. Oh yeah, I do. It's on my website. Yes, so the book and the website, and I'll be here so you could talk to me in the lobby. But yes, it's coming back in a second. Yeah, so the Get Shit Done hoodie. There's also like a shirt, and then my book, The Art of Getting Shit Done, all on gsdwithgeorgie.com. Awesome. So I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and partaking in this session with me. And I'll pass it back. I'm good.
You're good.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.